Blaze News tonight is at AmericaFest, and we are running into friends left and right. Jarrett LeMaster, he's an actor, he's a producer, and he's here with us right now. And Jarrett, it's so funny because we have been just seeing people all over. We're in Phoenix, it's AMFEST, so many people around.
Yeah.
And one of the phrases that, even though we've only been here for a few hours, is let's connect. Everybody is connecting. The conservative movement right now is connecting all over. Things are happening.
We should connect. Yeah, gotta run. Let's have lunch.
I'm getting like film festival vibes.
Yeah, it's very Hollywood. This is very Hollywood. Yeah, it's funny.
Speaking of which,
Oh.
why are you here?
Well, let me tell you, Matthew. So I'm here to promote a movie called Homestead that is coming out this weekend that I have a part in. My character's name is Rick Baumgartner. You'd be surprised. Yeah, Baumgartner.
What does he do?
He is a blue-collar guy that doesn't have a plan. And he's trying to save his family in the midst of an apocalypse. And so, real kind of situation. You have a bomb going off the coast of San Pedro, and which is possible, a dirty bomb. And then everyone in LA has to get out, and it's crazy. And there's no supply chain, there's no food, there's no water. And so the only people that are really prepared, the people that have homesteads, people that have military, that have all kinds of stuff, paramilitary stuff, they're the only ones that survive.
And they used to make fun of these people, but now it's not as far-fetched as
with the drones,
used to be. Right?
And the nuclear drones, and the UFOs.
I was gonna say, are there drones in this movie that the government is maybe putting over? And
you'd have to go see it. You'd have to go see it to know. But it's not just a film; it's a television series as well.
Nice.
So this film is kicking off a TV series, and there's all kinds of scenarios that can happen in this framework of an apocalypse. That's kind of a realistic framework that, they've run these scenarios, and if that were the case, like something like 99, if the whole power grid went down, something like 99% of the people would die. So I mean, it's not a lot.
I love a good thought experiment. That's really what this is. It's just making you think and say, okay, like how would we be living in a scenario like this, and just to see and being more prepared. It can't hurt.
Well, it can't hurt. And that's great. How do we live? How do we actually live, first of all? But also, how do we have morals? Like, how do we continue with our value system? Is our value system going to hold up if society's not there to support it? Like, these are good questions that this movie brings up. And so I love that. I think it's great.
I have to say, I know about this because, Jill does talk about it on our show. She's been talking about Homestead. Our audience will know the name.
Great.
But I have to say, we got to rewrite this because they don't mention you. And I think if I had known Jarrett LeMaster was in it, I would have been like, oh, okay.
Well, of course, it's a big deal. And this must be a big movie.
So tell a little more about this. I mean, clearly, when you do this, whether you're talking about, Walking Dead or any of these like apocalyptic sort of environment, the most interesting thing becomes what do people do, what choices do they make, and how they survive.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about this is it seems like it's a production made by a number of people who at least have some maybe different values from Hollywood and are looking at the same question. Is that?
Yeah. So it is a faith-based film, but it's not really. Like, it doesn't feel that way at all. It's like some of the characters in the show they have faith. They're Christians, and so it's very authentic the way that it plays out because the people they're like, well, maybe we should pray about this. It's not like there's a salvation scene or something, And it's like, and when people start to pray, then it's like, what is that? What are we doing? Like, they fumble through it. It's a very authentic way to approach it. And I think they did a great job, not being preachy. I think the Christian community has been very preachy with their stuff. But
I think that's one of the things because this is put out by Angel Studios. I think it's one of the best things that they have done is they have made faith-based films that are not preachy. You don't feel like, okay, like it's not cringeworthy like it used to be like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
They were all, I want to go and give you my money because I want to support you.
Yeah.
But, the product was like, oh, okay, now it's actually becoming part, you just go, oh, it's a good movie.
It's a good movie. Yes, I totally agree, and it's surprising. When this starts to happen, you're like, oh my gosh. And I think the Christians started to figure it out. The faith-based community started to figure out that we need to start telling great stories before we start preaching. Now, the other side, I would say the left is probably doing the opposite. They're starting to be very preachy, and which is why everybody's angry at the Marvel universe and the Star Wars universe. And it's like, stop preaching, just tell a good story, and we'll be with you. You know.
So this character you play, what's the name again?
His name's Rick Baumgartner.
Rick Baumgartner. Talk a little bit about the difference between preparing for and acting in this role versus your other role that you're famous for, which is Satan.
That's right. So I work
the other side of faith.
The other side of faith. So I actually played Jesus, woke Jesus,
and
and
Jesus
Satan.
is probably, yes.
And Satan,
Yeah.
which is the same guy. I mean, like, honestly, woke Jesus, Satan, same dude. But we have I would say this is a stretch. It's a lot easier to play the devil than it is to play Jesus, first of all. I would say that. I also think it's something that's not far from me, because I have 4 kids and I don't have that much of a plan. And so, like, Rick is me. Like, I would be like, what do we do now? Like, I don't know, guys. Like, I know a guy with some stuff. Let's go there. You know, like, that's what he does. So he's just trying to survive and keep his family alive. And I think it's great because it creates desperation. And most of the population, when you're watching this, you're going, oh, yeah. That's probably me. Most of them are not like, well, I have my fully functioning, hydroponic system that I've developed with all the bunny rabbits running around. You know, like, that's not the majority of the people that are going to watch
Now,
this
you're
movie.
not just Satan on a day-to-day basis. You actually play it for the Babylon Bee.
Yes,
we should clarify that.
Yeah,
I
let's
think
make
that's an
sure.
important distinction.
Let's make sure people know.
Yes.
I am not Beelzebub, right? Yeah.
But what's it like?
He's acting.
I just play him on TV.
Going through with the Babylon Bee, and I joke, like, the Babylon Bee at some point, like during like COVID, was like the only thing keeping me sane for a little while, right? Like, there was
For sure.
so much chaos everywhere, and the Babylon Bee can just cut through, and they get the right as much as they get the left, and I love that about them, because they deserve it as well.
Yeah.
But what's it like working over there with the Babylon Bee?
Yeah, it's amazing. I get to work with Seth Dillon and Kyle Mann, and those guys are geniuses, utter geniuses. And it's incredible to get to work with them. Honestly, doing comedy and being in the writer's room, and being able to play these parts, like, it's a total dream come true. Like, it's a dream come true. And to get to hammer on some of these philosophical and theological topics all the time. I mean, like, we used to just be a church thing where we would make fun of the church all the time. Mm-hmm. So if you grew up in the church, like, it was great because we were making fun of all the dumb stuff. And that's what we do with politics now. So.
And you're ultimately a guy who's been really acting, I believe, from a very young age, right? I mean, this is the trajectory of your life is to make this kind of creative content. And so, it's beyond the Babylon Bee in a bad way, but it's like Babylon Bee is awesome.
Yeah.
And then you're actively out there working on these other projects. So talk a little bit about this new frontier that just is wide open now, where it feels to me like everything is possible, things that weren't possible before.
Yeah.
Like maybe this movie Homestead and others, and the future. Like, what are the kinds of things you want to work on? What do you see as opening up for you in the future?
That's the thing. The sky's the limit. So, like, the Babylon Bee's working on all kinds of long-form content as well. Mm-hmm. And so we've got a bunch of stuff going on.
J6?
Yeah, we watched the J6 documentary.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, so I produced that.
Oh, awesome.
And so I produced that one. Kyle wrote it. Kyle was in it. I had a small part in it, but I was just the producer, really. Mm-hmm. And so we're moving in that direction, trying to do more of the long-form stuff. Mm-hmm. Getting on the documentary stuff, getting on, there's other things we can't talk about that are kind of like more long-formy. We'd love to get into sitcoms, and we'd love to get into those things. And then on top of that, getting to work on Homestead or whatever other, they're cool with me going out and getting parts, and going playing stuff and coming back home.
Yeah, where do you want to see the industry go, right? Because it does feel like Hollywood is moving away a little bit right now from some of the wokeness, right? They're getting the picture. We just had the latest headline. I think it was some Disney movie or something. They're like, oh, we're going to take the trans kid out of it. We're just going to remove it entirely because we see that the tide is shifting, right? So where do you want to see the industry go from here?
Yeah, I would love it if more stuff like that happened. I saw that article, and I was very excited. We did a sketch on how Disney comes up with their content, and it's a great sketch. If you want to see it, go check it out. It's very funny. But all that to say, like, that's been the issue for so long, is that they put these messages before, these woke messages, and they insert them into these stories, and it's so clunky and so stupid, and it feels terrible, and everybody knows it, and so that's why nobody's supporting it. So my hope is that we go back to like the 80s where people are interested in just telling good stories, getting, like Stranger Things is a good example mostly. Like it's kind of like you go back and you tell the Goonies again, you know what I mean? Tell Indiana Jones again. Let's go back to the glory days of, Steven Spielberg and make that kind of stuff. That's what I would like to see.
But one of the problems is they keep just remaking everything right now. There's no original content. There is you guys are doing it here, and Homestead is a different take.
Yeah.
But overall, like, we just keep talking like, oh, here's another Spider-Man, here's another Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, what are we doing, you guys?
Here's another Superman.
We not figure out one original idea?
An animated version of part of the appendix of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, dude. The War of the Rohirrim. No, it's so true. I mean, like, and it's also like there's no girl characters, so they had to like elevate girl bossy kind of stuff. They want to tell those stories. Yeah, I don't know. I think I think that I wish that we could come up with new intellectual property that people would be interested in. I mean, there's a billion stories out there that would be worthy of film. The problem is that everyone's so worried about the financing. They're so worried about making sure they make money that they always go with the sure bet. Hollywood is not willing to take risks anymore, and I think that sucks, and I think we need to take risks. And so that's where I want to see people go. Let's take risks. Let's tell new stories. Yeah.
I agree with that. I think you're going to see it. I know when you talk about IP, multiple friends, some even have, small little companies, right? They're gathering it in. I mean, people are gathering in intellectual property that is original, that is new. And then I think what you're seeing, even at events like this, as we all talk and do this kind of thing, is you're seeing a shift in the companies that do exist, right?
Yeah.
And I think by the end of this year, and you're in the audience, like, we're all going to benefit because everyone realizes that this space is fertile. And the problem right now is, the ecosystem isn't big enough. So people are like, oh, I don't know if I can, put the money into this because how will it get out there? How will I know if I make money? But I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm very hopeful about the future now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And we have mutual friends, people that we've known that are ready to finance this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think there is, like you said, the ecosystem needs to grow. I agree. And I think we need to not all come under one banner, or one brand.
Right.
We need to make sure that we are siloed out, but we're all working together. Like, that's the way it used to be in Hollywood too. You'd have Warner Brothers working with, I don't know, whoever it is, Technicolor and Universal, and they'd all be working together. And they would make a movie, the different studios would come together. And I think that's what we need to do too, the Daily Wire, the Blaze, Babylon Bee, everybody, like, we should unite the clans. Unite the clans.
We're going to come together. It's going to happen.
I know. It's going to happen. Angel Studios. Well, it is hopeful. Angel Studios just worked with the Daily Wire.
Yep.
That's like a sea change. That's a big deal. Because that hasn't happened. We've been so siloed out. Like, oh my gosh. So anyway.
Jarrett LeMaster, go see Homestead. It comes out in theaters on Friday, December 20th. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This was awesome.